2 play-in tournaments ago, DeRozan screamed. And screamed.
Life is really good for him, right?
And screamed some more. The Toronto Raptors, her father's former team and current foe, was about a league average 78% from the free throw line. They trained for this. Hundreds upon hundreds of free throws in front of thousands upon thousands of people. It was the play-in tournament, their chance to make something of the post-Kawhi soul search. But this day, something was different, something off, terribly off. The Toronto Raptors were up 19 among 19,000 of their cheering fans. Sure, they weren't shooting the best, but Chicago was shooting worse. Going into the fourth quarter, the Bulls were 3 of 19 from 3, but for some reason, were able to stay in the game. Fast forward to 3 minutes left, and the game is tied. Zach LaVine, who finished the game with 39 points, puts the Raptors up 2 with a tough lay. DeMar then follows with a tough hit of his own, and the Bulls are now up 4. Scotty Barnes then gets fouled and goes 1 for 2 from the line. Pascal Siakam also gets fouled, and also goes 1 for 2 from the line. Toronto's down 2. DeMar gets fouled and also goes 1 for 2 from the line. Siakam drives to the lane and yams it in order to cut the lead down to 1. LaVine gets fouled and goes 2 for 2. The Raptors are now down 3. It's 15 seconds left on the clock, and Siakam gets fouled on a Harden-esque foul bait. Game and pride on the line. He steps up to it. First free throw, down. Who cares about that banshee? Second. Break. Third. Miss. 1 for 3. The Raptors lose the game by 4 points, and they won 18 for 36 from the free throw line. If one happens to peruse amongst the history books of the NBA, if they look at the date April 12, 2023, they'll be terribly confused because, inexplicably, this team of NBA players combined shot 50% from the free throw line on over 30 attempts.
When you're 5 for 10, it's probably not a big deal, right? But I mean, that's a lot of misses.
That entire season, you'll not find a single team that shot that badly on that amount of volume. Even if you give it a little leeway, 30 instead of 36, you'll still be hard-pressed to find one. The first that pops up is 4 years prior, where the Charlotte Hornets, led by Kemba Walker and Dwight Howard, we see what it's doing. The last time a team shot 36 free throws and made less than half of them was in 2016, where DeAndre Jordan went 6 for 23. If we take a look at the playoffs, there have only been 3 instances since 1980, the three-point era, spearheaded by Dwight Howard, Shaquille O'Neal, and a Bad Boys Pistons team with an injured Isaiah Thomas, who also shot 33% overall from the field that day. Funnily enough, before 1980, this phenomenon happened 5 times, and each of the 5 times included Will Chamberlain. Who else? That's the GOAT, man. He's the GOAT. Video coming soon. But the thing is, the Raptors didn't have a Shaq or Wilt or Dwight stinking it up from the line. So what happened? For the Raptors that went to the line more than once that game, their season average free throw percentage was 82%. But for this game, Pascal Siakam, 5 for 11, 45%. OG Anunoby, 2 for 7, 29%. Fred VanVleet, a 90% free throw shooter, 3 for 6. 50%. Scotty Barnes, 4 for 7, 57%. A combined average of 47% from the line. Not the field. The line. A complete anomaly. What was it? The air conditioning? Did DeMar call up some members from South Central to intimidate the Raptors? By the way, Shark might have been a Crip. Go check out that video. Damn, I don't know, Scott Foster? No, it was a little girl, sitting in section 106, courtside, supporting her daddy the best way she knew how, by screaming at the top of her lungs. Now, I'm sure many of you remember the huge ruckus that this caused. There were fans calling her the MVP, the Defensive Player of the Year, and statistically deeming her worthy of the Supermax. And it was a fair point. It's not a stretch to say that she won that game for her dad's team. In fact, it would be more of a stretch to say that she didn't. So I think the next natural question is here. Why don't people do it more? I mean, we know that distracting players on the court is woven into the fabric of being a basketball fan. From AAU all the way up to the pros. Opposing fans are supposed to be a nuisance. It's part of the fun. I'm very proud to say that I was a part of a chant that caused the Princess of Basketball, Her Highness Judea Watkins, to miss a shot by counting down the shot clock early. It was hella fun, man. Players are supposed to ignore it and fans are supposed to encourage it. There have been really creative ways that this has been manifested. There were bikinis for Larry Bird in the 1980s, the Raptors mascot and Devin Booker, and this.
Whoever did the tattoos on Lonzo Ball, they're very clear.
And believe it or not, there's academic research out there proving that crowds do affect the free throw shooter. Now, there have been studies done that prove that your average Joe, if he's shooting free throws, is going to be affected by noise, but not so much an elite basketball athlete like an NBA player. However, those studies did not encompass the natural experiment that was the 88 games played by dozens of professional NBA players in a completely isolated environment. In a study written by researchers working with the University of Tennessee, it was found that, based on data from the Orlando bubble, that NBA players on average shoot 5% better from the free throw line in an empty gym than with thousands of fans. I mean, which makes sense. I mean, how come Ben Simmons looks good in that white gym every year, bro? It's empty. But what's the science behind it? I spoke with two leading researchers on the study, Logan Markwell and Strick, to get a better understanding.
There's really two explanations that come out of a lot of the work that we've been involved with, and that is one of attention. There's this assumption that we're making that our attention is limited, and when we're focusing on a given task, we're using or allocating some of that attention towards that task. So just like when we're driving a car and it starts raining really hard and you see a lot of brake lights in front of you, it's natural to turn the music down or to have people stop talking to you or to disengage from a conversation when people are talking to you, right? So that we can allocate all of our attention towards the one thing that is most important or has our priority, which is driving. Fans or spectators can have that similar effect on one's performance while performing a certain skill. In particular, free throws is what we observed here. And then the other one is just that of specificity. And so this was really stemming from lots of decades worth of work, really looking at like how representative a practice environment or a learning environment represents the test environment or the performance context in which that individual is going to perform. The NBA bubble, it was more similar to a practice environment, the environment in which they've spent many hours, thousands of hours acquiring these skills. There's other phenomena that are not specific to basketball. Not all noise, like external noise, is created equal.
It would be the uniqueness of the sound. So like you wouldn't expect to hear like a motorcycle revving its engine in the NBA arena context. So that would draw your attention because of its uniqueness.
These unique methods have actually been tried before in the NBA. In 2005, a self-proclaimed Slate scientist, Dan Engber, emailed Mark Cuban with a kind of crazy idea. So when you go to an NBA game, you get these kind of flapper thingies that you're supposed to use to distract players. Does it work? I mean, maybe if there's one, but if a bunch of players are waving the sticks in different directions, when you're a professional athlete, that stuff doesn't really faze you. The different directions kind of turn into a haze or static, and you're able to block it out. But if the flappers move in unison from left to right, it creates an optical illusion that leads the free throw shooter to subconsciously believe he's moving left to right, which in turn causes him to miss left to right. Engber wanted to see if this phenomenon would hold in NBA arenas. So he and Mark Cuban devised a plan to take some Mavericks employees to conduct the crowd in a synchronized movement to distract the opponents. The strategy was utilized for the first time on December 28, 2004, against the Boston Celtics. By the way, I wasn't able to find this game on YouTube or anything. My guy Alexander from USA Sports on DVD was able to give me access. He basically has a ton of NBA footage and puts it all on one site. I'll link it in the description. And guess what? Even though that year Boston was an 80% shooting team from the line, they went 18 for 30 on foul shots against the Mavericks, 60%. They tried it again against the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Bucks went 17 for 27, 63%. They tried it one more time against the Lakers, but it didn't work like the other two. And as soon as Cuban saw that, he canned the whole project. But it was proven that it was possible to sharply affect a free throw performance given a confusing enough stimulus. It's the reason why many NBA arenas have optical illusions banned. It's an unfair advantage. If NBA players or coaches on the bench try to distract the shooter, they get some form of a technical. Now, the wall at Intuit Dome, the Los Angeles Clippers arena, takes this fan distraction theory and stretches it to its legal limits. Opponents there are shooting 72% from the foul line, which would be equivalent to the second worst free throw shooting team in the NBA. That's no coincidence. In the first game at Intuit Dome, Kevin Durant, a damn near 90% free throw shooter, missed 2 free throws in the clutch. Devin Booker missed 1.
That shit might work.
And if you look closely, you'll notice why. They're employing the same strategy that Engber and Cuban used 20 years ago. Interesting stuff. But none of this included a little girl. Let's send her back to our little screamer. It doesn't take much to reason that if you're just an average Joe yelling at the top of your lungs, you're gonna get kicked out. It's just a fact. The NBA's fan code of conduct states that if any fan is too disruptive, they'll kick them out. And whatever that means is at the discretion of security. Some random is gonna get booted by the first time out. But this is DeMar DeRozan's daughter. And more than that, a little girl. There's no way you can kick her out, right? Yeah. So how come the Bulls didn't continue her employ further down the road in the playoffs? I mean, we're talking about the greatest contract in the history of the league. And you only play her 1 game? Well, 1, because she had school, but then after that, you know, saddeningly and sickeningly, she got some death threats. Hey man, as an aside, what type of person do you gotta be? I'm truly curious, what type of person do you have to be to send a piece of paper or a mail or some message saying I want a certain person to die because of some minor inconvenience in your life? Huh? Man, hey, bro.
Stop it. Get some help.
Anyways, as any father should have, DeMar pulled out Diar from any game since. But it's still fascinating to mull over. In an arena of nearly 20,000, one little girl had the power to impact the game like no one else could. Is it fair? Well, technically it's just noise, right?
When any sort of these distractors are going to be consuming our attention, when they are different or more extreme or novel, that is likely only going to have more effect. We typically are fairly good at becoming accustomed to like white noise or just regular frequencies. We're fairly able to just drown that out in this type of situation where now all of a sudden you have this fairly random noise that's very different from everything else.
Fair enough. Any player who complained about this little girl is either a snowflake or Chris Paul. Simple. I'm sure teams' front offices thought very long and hard that day about bringing one of their little kids to come in and scream for their team. And I'm almost just as certain that Adam Silver very quietly sent an email saying, if any of y'all try this, y'all going to see them black trucks. I believe it. Hey man, who knows? What is known is that one of the greatest statistical anomalies in NBA history was caused by a second grader. And although she just affected one game, she went down definitively as the best defender in NBA history. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, more heat coming.